Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at What You Will by John Marston. And I know that's a very confusing opening statement to be making because, of course, you're all expecting this to be about a computer game set in the Wild West. Not that John Marston, in case you were getting horribly confused. It's all fine. This is a play printed in 1607, but dated to around 1601, possibly for children of Paul's. We can't be 100% certain, but it's probably for a boys' company. And it is a play I know almost nothing about, but it's continuing our process of working our way through the works of John Marston. Yes, we've danced a few years back in time since the last one we read, but it is further forward in time from some of the ones we read a very, very long time ago in a galaxy far away. Reading through the first two acts of the play, reading Randolfo, Nous, and Nathaniel is...
Me, Briony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire, sorry.
Reading Doricus and Lampatho is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, I'm a historian, and I'm back in Hull.
Reading Atticus and Simplicius, losing it, is...
Hello, I'm Valentina Vinci, I am an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
Reading Jacomo and Battus is...
Nicole, actor in New Jersey.
Reading Andrea, Slip, and Holofernes, or Pippo, is...
Hello, I'm Lynn. I'm a college composition teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
Reading Philus and Pedant is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and I really don't want to go to school.
Who does? Reading Laverdure is...
Hi, Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
And reading Quadratus today is...
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu, and I'm an author based in Romford.
And reading Philomuse / the Prologue, and also reading Bidet is...
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer and director living in Germany.
And I don't know whether or not that tells us everything we need to know about the play. The play opens with an induction. We've had a few inductions. There's going to be quite a few inductions to play with around about this time. There's quite a lot going on. Inductions are often in conversation with things going on in the world at the time, much more than the play is. In fact, it may be in conversation with other inductions in other plays and other prologues and epilogues in other plays. We may or may not get some data on that as we go. So without further ado, we're going to dive into it. I'm your host, Robert Crighton, and I'm very confused. Reading the induction now, before the music sounds for the act. Before the music. Enter Atticus, Doricus, and Philomuse. They sit a good while on the stage before the candles are lighted, talking together. And on a sudden, Doricus speaks as enter Timon with lights.
Oh, fie, some lights! Sirs, fie! Let there be no deeds of darkness done amongst us. Aye, so, prithee, Timon, set Signor Snuff afire. He's a choleric gentleman. He will take pepper in the nose instantly. Fear not. For heaven, I wonder they tolerate him so near the stage.
Faith, Doricus, thy brain boils. Keel it, or all the fat's in the fire. In the name of Phoebus, what merry genius haunts thee today? Thy lips play with feathers.
Troth, they should pick straws before they should be idle.
But why dost thou wonder they dare suffer snuff so near the stage?
Oh, well recalled. Marry, Sir Signor Snuff, Monsieur Mew, and Cavaliero Blurt are three of the most to be feared auditors that ever.
Shh, for shame, stint thy idle chat.
Nay, dream whatsoever your fantasy swims on, Philomuse. I protest in the love of you have procured me to bear your friend the author. I am vehemently fearful this threefold halter of contempt that chokes the breath of wit, these aforesaid tria sunt omnia, knight of the mew, will sit heavily on the skirts of his scenes, if...
If what? Believe it, Doricus, his spirit is higher blooded than to quake and pant at the report of Scoff's artillery. Shall he be crestfallen if some loser brain, in flux of wit, uncivilly befilth his slight composures? Shall his bosom faint if drunken censure belch out sour breath from hatred's surfeit on his labour's front? Nay. Say some 6 rancorous breasts should plant themselves on purpose to discharge impostumed malice on his latest scene. Shall his resolve be struck through with the blurt of a goose breath? What imperfect born, what short-lived meteor, what cold-hearted snow would melt in dolour, cloud his muddied eyes, sink down his jaws, if that some juiceless husk, some boundless ignorance, should on sudden shoot his gross knob Burbot with, "That's not so good. Mew, blurt, ha-ha, light chaffy stuff." Why, gentle spirits, what loose waving vein, what anything would thus be screwed about with each slight touch of odd phantasmatas? No, let the feeble palsied lamer joints lean on opinion's crutches. Let the...
Nay, nay, nay. Heaven's my hope, I cannot smooth this strain. Wit's death I cannot. What a leprous humour breaks from rank swelling of these bubbling wits. Now out upon't. I wonder what tight brain rung in this custom to maintain contempt gainst common censure, to give stiff counter buffs, to crack rude scorn even in the very face of better audience. Slight, is it not odious? Why, hark you, honest Philomuse, you that endeavour to endear our thoughts to the composer's spirit, hold this firm. Music and poetry were first approved by common sense, and that which pleased most held most allowed pass. No, rules of art were shaped to pleasure, not pleasure to your rules. Think you that if his scenes took stamp in mint by 3 or 4 deemed most judicious, it must enforce the world to current them, that you must spit defiance on dislike? Now, as I love the light, were I to pass through public verdict, I should fear my form, lest aught I offered were unsquared or warped. The more we know, the more we want. What Bayard bolder than the ignorant? Believe me, Philomuse, if faith thou must, the best seal of wit is wit's distrust.
Nay, gentle Doricus.
I'll hear no more of him. Nay, and your friend the author, the composer, though what you will, seems so fair in his own glass, so straight in his own measure, that he talks once of squinting critics, drunken censure, splay-foot opinion, juiceless husks. I have done with him. I have done with him.
Phew, nay then.
And if any such unsanctified stuff could find a being mongst these ingenious breasts.
Come, let pass, let pass. Let's see what stuff must clothe our ears. What's the play name?
What you will.
Is't comedy, tragedy, pastoral, moral, nocturnal, or history?
Faith, perfectly neither. But even what you will. A slight toy, slightly composed, too swiftly finished, ill-plotted, worse written, I fear me worse acted, and indeed, what you will.
Why, I like this vein well now.
Come, we strain the spectators' patience in delaying their expected delights. Let's place ourselves within the curtains. For good faith, the stage is so very little. We shall wrong the general eye else very much.
If you'll stay but a little, I'll accompany you. I've engaged myself to the author to give a kind of inductive speech to his comedy.
Oh, away, you neglect yourself, a gentleman.
Oh, I have vowed it. I am double charged. Go off as 'twill, I'll set fire to it.
I'll not stand it. May chance recoil and not be stuffed with saltpetre. Well, mark the report, mark the report.
Nay, prithee stay. Slit the female presence, the gentilezza, the women will put me out.
And they strive to put thee out. Do thou endeavour to put them.
In good faith, if they put thee out of countenance, put them out of patience, and hew their ears with hacking imperfect utterance.
Go, stand to it. Show thyself a tall man of thy tongue. Make an honest leg. Put off thy cap with discreet carriage. And so we leave thee to the kind gentlemen and most respected auditors.
Exeunt all except for Philomuse.
Nor labours he the favour of the rude, nor offers sops unto the Stygian dog to force a silence in his viperous tongues. Nor cares he to insinuate the grace of loathed distraction, nor pursues the love of the nice critics of the squeamish age. Nor strives he to bear up with every sail of floating censure, nor once dreads or cares what envious hand his guiltless muse hath struck. Sweet breath from tainted stomachs who can suck? But to the fair proportioned loves of wit, to the just scale of even, paised thoughts, to those that know the pangs of bringing forth a perfect feature, to their gentle minds that can as soon slight of as find a blemish, to those, as humbly low as to their feet, I am obliged to bend. To those his muse makes solemn honour for their wished delight. He vows industrious sweat shall pale his cheek, but he'll gloss up sleek objects for their eyes. For those he is ashamed his best's too bad. A silly subject, too simply clad, is all his present, all his ready pay for many debts. Give further day. I'll give a proverb, sufferance giveth ease. So you may once be paid, we once may please.
And exit. And there we'll pause there. So, once again, we have an induction of, playing with when the show starts, because, they're only just starting to sort out the candles. The music hasn't started. It's before the show gets going. And we've got Philomuse, who I think he's obviously been paying into the Patreon feed for this, because he gets to do the prologue, whereas everybody else has to come up with an excuse how to get off stage because they can't stay on stage, because it's one of those things when in an interior playhouse like this that you might have. Your regular audience might want to sit on stage. They might pay for the privilege. I almost said something much ruder about them as an audience, but I will desist. So yeah, it's very much speaking to its own time. It's playing all sorts of interesting games. Thoughts on the room, Rachael? I see a hand.
I was gonna nocturnal when Doricus is naming all these different genres. Is nocturnal an actual genre because those other ones are?
Off the top of my head, no. But I don't know. Context from where that was. Moral, nocturnal, or history. Yeah, I've not heard of nocturnal as a genre. I like it. I think it's a gag, but it's comedy, tragedy, pastoral, moral, nocturnal, or history, unless it's a typo. But it feels deliberate. Yeah. Alan.
can't think what it could be a typo of.
No, I don't think it is. The text,
I
I'm
think
fairly certain, is reasonably accurate.
It's just there, I think, to balance the line up. You know, if you've got 5 options, that's less tidy than having 6. But I must admit, I can't really see the point of almost any of what we've done so far, unless an awful lot of it is actually addressed effectively at other plays that were going on at the time, in which case the references have just sort of passed straight over my head.
Well, I think what's going on here is this is again Marston preempting people not liking the play. You know, you've got to like this kind of stuff, and so he's sort of setting up and is he making fun of the kind of critics who sit at the side of the stage saying, "Well, I don't like this." You know, he's sort of criticising us basically. Actually, we're literally doing what these people are doing now about this play. We've been caught in Marston's trap for hundreds of years later. Because who hasn't sat in the stalls or sat in a cinema and either been these people or sat behind these people.
There's always one that asks, what was the name of the play again?
Yeah. Especially as it's already come up once as well. It's just going, it's What You Will.
And there are 3 others that are mentioned: the scoff, censure, and hatred.
Yes, that's you can find them in every audience. I think that's the point. Whether they're literally there, or whether they're just pointing at someone out in the crowd. Lynn?
It seems a little all over the place, this whole induction. I mean, I'm partly still kind of trying to get tuned into Marston's language, which can be difficult, but Philomuse's first sort of long speech when he switches to verse is basically seems to be saying, I don't care what those people say, they're idiots anyway. But then his prologue seems to be more sort of conventionally, I hope you like this. Am I misreading those things? So
I'm not sure. I'm sure the prologue quite goes that far. I think it's sort of going, we don't care really what you think, but we, I am obliged to bend. This is convention.
But he's doing the kind of conventional disabling speech, modesty topos. Oh, my best is not good enough.
Well, he's not actually, the playwright. He's a friend of the. He's a friend. He's the best friend of the playwright. So perhaps he can do those sort of cartwheels.
Yeah, I mean, surely that's the point, that it's a joke, because he's like, earlier on when he's talking to his mates, he's like, oh yeah, no, he doesn't care about any of that. Looks. And then he stands up and does the prologue, which the playwright has supposedly written to kind of imply the exact opposite.
Because this is, constant meta games being played here. Because the show hasn't started. Remember, people, these are real people watching the show. Helen.
Yes, Philomuse is a gentleman, according to Atticus. Atticus, he says that he's engaged himself to the author to give the inductive speech, and Atticus is horrified. But you're a gentleman. Gentlemen don't appear on stages. You're letting the side down.
Yeah, come with us. We're going to hide behind a curtain because we need to clear the stage somehow before the show starts.
That's far more gentlemanly.
Yeah.
But he does go really hard on critics, squinting critics. Splay-footed opinion, juiceless husks.
Yeah. It's basically saying, if you don't like the play, well, you're just scum. So you better not enjoy the play. I mean, it's almost the reverse of that please like the play sort of fawning that you get. It's actually it's a lot A lot more aggressive.
Hmm.
Eric, I think you waved ages ago.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out the I'm obliged to bend bit. And yeah, also the kind of I just like the line "sufferance giveth ease." So basically, like, you paid, you're here, we might as well do it. I don't give a, if you don't like it.
Yeah, if you've paid, we'll entertain you. Is everybody in? Has everyone paid? Everyone paid. It's like me at the beginning of a quiz night. Okay, have you paid? Okay, then you can now start answering questions. Excellent. You are now allowed to know things. Anyway, this has basically no structural connection with the plot of what's about to happen. This is an induction. It's just to set the mood and to get the first punch in for anyone who doesn't like the play. And now we're going to go into Act 1, Scene 1 proper. The music is played, the candles are lit and are hanging in the right place. Everybody's ready. Enter Quadratus, Philus following him with the lute, a page going before Quadratus with a torch.
Oh, I beseech you, sir, reclaim his wits. My master is mad, stark mad, alas, for love.
For love? Nay, and he be not mad for hate. 'Tis amiable fortune. I tell thee, youth, right rare and geeson. Strange, mad for love? Oh, show me him. I'll give him reason straight, so forcible, so all invincible, that it shall drag love out. Run mad for love? What mortally exists on which our hearts should be enamoured with such passion? For love? Come, Philus, come. I'll change his fate. Instead of love, I'll make him mad for hate. But troth, say what strains his madness of.
Fantastical.
Immure him, sconce him, barricado him in it. Fantastical mad, thrice blessed heart. Why hark, good Philus. Oh, that thy narrow sense could but contain me now. All that exists takes valuation from opinion. A giddy minion now. Pish, thy taste is dull, and canst not relish me. Come, where's Jacomo?
Enter Jacomo, unbraced and careless dressed.
Look where he comes. Oh, map of boundless woe.
Yon gleam is day, darkness, sleep, and fear, dreams, and the ugly visions of the night are beat to hell by the bright palm of light. Now roams the swain, and whistles up the morn. Deep silence breaks, all things start up with light. Only my heart, that endless night and day, lies bedrid, crippled by coy Celia.
There's a strain, law. Nay, now I see his mad most palpable. He speaks like a player. Ha, poetical.
The wanton spring lies dallying with the earth and pours fresh blood in her decayed veins. Look how the new sapid branches are enchild with tender infants. How the sun draws out and shapes their moisture into 1,000 forms of sprouting buds. All things that show or breathe are now instaured, saving my wretched beat breast that is eternally congealed with ice of frozen despair. Oh, Celia, coy, too nice.
Still, sans question mad.
Oh, where doth piety and pity rest?
Fetch cords, he's irrecoverable. Mad, rank mad. He calls for strange chimeras, fictions, that have no being since the curse of death was thrown on man. Pity and piety, who'll deign converse with them? Alas, vain head, pity and piety are long since dead.
Ruin to chance, and all that strive to stand, like swoln colossus on her tottering base. Fortune is blind.
You lie, you lie. None but a madman would term fortune blind. How can she see to wound desert so right? Just in the speeding place, to girt lewd brows with honoured wreath. Ha! Fortune blind? Away! How can she, hoodwinked, then so rightly see, to starve rich worth and glut iniquity?
Oh, love!
Love? Hang love! It is the abject outcast of the world. Hate all things, hate the world, thyself, all men. Hate knowledge, strive not to be overwise. It drew destruction into paradise. Hate honour, virtue, they are baits that tice men's hopes to sadder fates. Hate beauty, every ballad monger can cry his idle foppish humour. Hate riches, wealth a flattering jack, adores to face, muse hind thy back. He that is poor is firmly sped, he never shall be flattered. All things are error, dirt and nothing, or pant with want, or gorge to loathing. Love only hate, affect no higher than praise of heaven, wine, a fire. Suck up thy days in silent breath, when there snuffs out, come, Signor Death. Now, sir, adieu, run mad and wilt. The worst is this, my rhymes but spilt.
Thy rhymes are spilt. Who would not run rank mad to see a wandering Frenchman rival, nay, outstrip my suit? He kissed my Celia's cheek.
Why, man, I saw my dog even kiss thy Celia's lips.
Tomorrow morn they go to wed.
Well, then I know, whither tomorrow night they go.
Say quick.
To bed.
I will invoke the triple Hecate, make charms as potent as the breath of fate, but I'll confound the match.
Nay, then, good day, and you be conjuring once, I'll slink away.
And exit Quadratus.
Boy, could not Orpheus make the stones to dance?
Yes, sir.
By'r Lady, a sweet touch. Did he not bring Eurydice out of hell with his lute?
So they say, sir.
And thou canst bring Celia's head out of the window with thy lute. Well, hazard by breath. Look, sir, here's a ditty. 'Tis foully writ, slight wit, crossed here and there, but where thou find'st a blot, there fall a tear.
And there is a song.
Fie! Peace, peace, peace! It hath no passion in't. Oh, melt thy breath in fluent, softer tunes, that every note may seem to trickle down like sad, distilling tears, and make, oh God, that I were but a poet now to express my thoughts, or a musician but to sing my thoughts, or anything but what I am. Sing to o'er once more. My grief's a boundless sea that hath no shore.
And Philus sings again and is answered from above. A willow garland is flung down, and the song ceaseth.
Is this my favor? Am I crowned with scorn? Then thus I manumit my slaved condition. Celia, but hear me excrete thy love. By heaven, that once was conscience of my love. By all that is, that knows my all was thine, I will pursue with detestation, thwart with outstretched vehemence of hate, thy wished hymen. I will craze my brain, but I'll dissever all. Thy hopes unite. What rage so violent as love turned spite?
And we'll pause there before people enter and interrupt this this cheerful, happy scene. We've got some. We go straight into the plot, really, quite clearly. You know, Philus comes in and just goes, "My master's mad for love," and Quadratus, not a fan of love. Jacomo is very in the loving vein. We get two songs, or at least we get two verses of the same song. So we got some music. Now that we've hit play, for first thoughts from the room. It'll get a bit more complicated in a moment, I'm sure. Anyone want to leap in? Everyone's just stunned.
I'm on
Helen.
Team Quadratus.
Well, you hate all things, hate the world, thyself, all men.
Yeah, more or less. And certainly hate people who are in love.
Yeah,
They're very tedious.
you get the impression that Jacomo is just a bit tedious. You get that impression. It's a bit much, bit intense. Other thoughts from the room? Anyone on the side of love?
I was going to say that it's you kind of get the impression that Jacomo hasn't really made any advances. He's just saying, "How dare that guy make this like sort of? How dare he see this French guy outstrip my suit? He kissed my Celia's cheek. How dare he? I haven't even spoken to her, but how dare he? I've not even met her, or whatever."
Yeah. Celia has had some attention, and he's not happy about that. Quadratus's line, riposta the kiss my Celia's cheek line is quite good.
Well, they even say here he comes like a player or something. So yeah, I don't think it could be much more clear that his passion is largely performative. It's so over the top. Yeah. Oh, my heart is broken. Yeah, that's why it's so tedious. Because it's yeah. He's in love with himself.
Yeah. He's gonna do some charms though. I'm sure, maybe we'll get some charms. I don't know.
Magic is always
we may
good.
not. Eric.
Well, also because he references Orpheus and Eurydice, and it's like, well, that didn't really go well, dude. That did not go well. I mean, they made it out of hell, and then it's like that. Yeah, that it failed at the last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do quite like his thing once you've had the song and he's just going, "Oh, if only I was a poet, if only I was a musician, everyone would be falling over me." I have that occasionally. I go, "God, I wish I was in a band." Okay, that's a very different thought. Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on, Rachael?
No, yeah. I mean, he definitely comes. I think he would definitely come off to an audience of that time as like, what do you call it? There's that thing where Petrarch might have never met the woman that he wrote all those things about, and didn't have like any real relationship with her. That it's his sense of ownership over a woman that he's seen like perhaps only briefly, and then she has a very real husband or a very real fiance who this guy doesn't even know the name of, and he's decided that she is his, like a Disney villain.
Any other thoughts before we dive further into the scene? Okay, we have entering to the trouble, Jacomo. Enter Randolfo and Andrea. May be called Andrea for a while, may not. There's some question mark over what the name is supposed to be, so you may get confused later. They enter with a supplication reading.
Humbly complaining, kissing the hands of your excellence, your poor orators, Randolfo and Andrea, beseecheth, forbidding the dishonoured match of their niece Celia, widow, to their brother. Oh, 'twill do, it cannot choose but do.
What should one say? What should one do now? Humph. If she do match with yon same wandering knight, she's but undone. Her estimation, her wealth.
Nay, sir, her estimation's mounted up. she shall be ladyed and sweet madamed now.
Be ladied? Ha, ha! Oh, could she but recall the honoured port of her deceased love, but think whose wife she was. God wot no knight, but one that title off was even a prince, a Sultan Solomon. Thrice was he made in dangerous arms, Venice Providatore.
He was a merchant, but so bounteous, valiant, wise, learned, all so absolute, that naught was valued, praiseful, excellent, but in it he most praiseful, excellent.
Oh, I shall ne'er forget how he went clothed. He would maintain to base, ill-used fashion to bind a merchant to the sullen habit of precise black, chiefly in Venice state, where merchants gilt the top, and therefore, should you have him pass the bridge, up the Rialto like a soldier, as still he stood a potestate at sea.
In a black beaver felt, ash-coloured plain, a Florentine cloth of silver jerkin, sleeves white satin cut on tinsel, then long stock.
French panes embroidered, goldsmith's work. Oh God, methinks I see him now how he would walk, with what a jolly presence he would pace round the Rialto. Well, he soon forgot. A strangling sir in his rich bed must sleep, which if I cannot cross, I'll curse and weep. Shall I be plain as truth? I love your sister. My education, birth, and wealth deserves her. I have no cross, no rub to stop my suit, but Laverdure's a night that strikes all mute.
Aye, there's the devil. She must be ladied now.
Oh, ill-nursed custom. No sooner is the wealthy merchant dead, his wife left great and fair possessions, but giddy rumor grasps it twixt his teeth and shakes it bout our ears. Then thither flock a rout of crazed fortunes, whose cracked states gape to be soldiered up by the rich mass of the deceased labors. And now and then the troop of I beseech and I protest and believe it sweet is mixed with 2 or 3 hopeful, well-stocked, neat-clothed citizens.
But as we see, the son of a divine seldom proves preacher, or a lawyer's son rarely a pleader, for they strive to run a various fortune from their ancestors. So 'tis right Geeson for the merchant's widow to be the citizen's loved second spouse.
Variety of objects please us still. One dish, though ne'er so cooked, doth quickly fill, when diverse cates the palate's sense delight, and with fresh taste creates new appetite. Therefore my widow, she cashiers the blacks, forswears, turns off the furred gowns, and surveys the bead roll of her suitors, thinks, and straight her questing thoughts springs up a night. Have after then amain, the game's afoot, the match clapped up, 'tis the night must do't.
Then must my pretty Pete be fanned and coached?
Muffed, masked, and ladied, with my more than most sweet madame. But how long doth this perfume of sweet madame last? Faith, 'tis but a wash scent. My riotous sir begins to crack jests on his lady's front, touches her newly stamped gentry, takes a glut, keeps out, abandons home, and spends, till stock be melted. Then, sir, takes up here, takes up there, till nowhere aught is left. Then for the Low Countries hey for the French. And so, to make up rhyme, good night, sweet wench.
By blessedness, we'll stop this fatal lot.
But how? But how?
Why stay, let's think a plot.
Was not Albano Bellezzo honorable rich?
Not peered in Venice for birth, fortune, love.
'Tis scarce 3 months since fortune gave him dead.
In the black fight in the Venetian Gulf.
You hold a truth.
Now what a giglet is this Celia.
To match so suddenly, so unworthily.
Why, she might have.
Who might not Celia have? The passionate, enamored Jacomo.
The passionate, enamored Jacomo.
Of honored lineage, and not meanly rich.
The spriteful Piso of great Florentine, Aurelius Tuber.
And to leave these all and wed a wandering knight, Sir Laverdure, a God knows what.
Brother, she shall not. Shall our blood be mongreled with the corruption of a straggling French?
Saint Mark, she shall not, brother, by our father's soul.
Good day.
Wish me good day. It stands in idle stead. My Celia's lost. All my good days are deed.
And the cornet. Sound a flourish.
Hark! Lorenzo Celso, the loose Venice Duke, is going to bed. 'Tis now a forward morn, for he takes rest. O strange transformed sight, when princes make night day, the day their night.
Come, we'll petition him.
Away, away, he scorns all plaints, makes jest of serious suit.
Fall out as twill. I am resolved to do it.
Enter the Duke coupled with a lady, 2 couples more with them, the men having tobacco pipes in their hands. The women sit, they dance around. The petition is delivered up by Randolfo. The Duke lights his tobacco pipe with it and goes out dancing.
Saint Mark! Saint Mark!
Did not I tell you? Lose no more rich time. What can one get but mire from a swine?
Let's work across. We'll fame it all about the Frenchman's gelded.
Oh, that's absolute.
Fie on't. Away, she knows too well 'tis false. I fear it too well. No, I have twill strongly doot. Who knows Francisco Sarranza?
Pish, pish, why, what of him?
Is he not wondrous like your deceased kinsman, Albano?
Exceedingly, the strangest, nearly like in voice and gesture, face and...
Nay, he has Albano's imperfection too, and stuts when he is vehemently moved.
Observe me, then. Him would I have disguised, most perfect, like Albano, giving out. Albano saved by swimming, as in faith. 'Tis known he swam most strangely. Rumor him this morn arrived in Venice, here to lurk, as having heard the forward nuptials, to observe his wife's most infamous lewd haste, and to revenge.
I have it, I have it, I have it! 'Twill be invincible.
By this means now some little time we catch, for better hopes at least disturb the match.
I'll to Francisco.
Brother Adrian, you have our brother's picture, shape him to it.
Precise in each point, tush, tush, fear it not.
Saint Mark then prosper once our hopeful plot.
Good souls, good day. I have not slept last night. I'll take a nap, then pell-mell broach all spite.
And they exit, the act closes, music plays. I think I just want to highlight the stage direction that I rushed through far too fast because it's quite a luxurious stage direction. So we have mentioned the Duke, they're going to appeal to the Duke, The Duke's smoking up, has one of these tobacco pipes that's all the rage. And I just love this. All this stuff. Give him the petition. And he just uses it to light his pipe, and exits. And that's just a wonderful bit of business. And it's actually got a lovely bit of economy to it for all the sort of overflowingness of some of the language. You know, we just have this visual thing. They're going to deliver their petition, and that's doesn't say a word. Just calmly lights it with, and just I don't even know if he reads it. Whether he knows what it is and it's a sign of contempt, or he just doesn't care. Oh, thank you. You've given me something to light my pipe with. Thank you so much. And more stuff from Jacomo as well. Just that constant thing of he is rhyming with intent. He pointedly states, I need to make up the rhyme before I finish this line. So I'll say these words because it rhymes. So he's so affected. It's a bit tricky getting once again into the plot, but once those cogs are all turning, there's some really interesting stuff coming out there. Thoughts on the room, Lynn?
Boy, I am really curious about Celia and her fiance now, because we've heard so much about that match, and we don't really know anything about her. Did she love her husband? Was that a happy marriage before her husband apparently died? Is she actually in love with Laverdure, or is she marrying him for the prestige? Is she, what kind of person is she really? I don't trust anyone's assessment of her, so I really want to know what's really going on there with that relationship. I'm just dying to know.
Yeah, especially as, these two, Randolfo and the now transmuted Adrian, have, because I think they're related to the dead wife, husband rather, Albano. So it's really is interesting transcendental reasons why they're getting involved at all. And the way families work and the logic of that.
Yeah, because I know this is supposed to be Italy, but if Celia and Albano didn't have any children, then in England his estate would go to his brothers, although the wife has some control of it while she lives. But so I think it's about the money too, that I had this wealthy brother who's dead now, and if my sister-in-law marries somebody who wastes that money, I'll never get my hands on it, kind of thing might be going on here.
Because the way they're couching it is just, this guy's just not worth it. That's how they're couching it. But people lie. We know people lie in Marston. They lie to themselves. They lie to each other. So we can't always take everything on face value here. Actually, especially as no one's really done a proper aside. Rachael.
I was just because the other play we read by Marston, Webster had worked on it a bit. And so I'm wondering if from this plot, some of Duchess of Malfi winds up, getting influenced by this work.
There's a slight parallel, yeah. These are the in-laws brothers, but similar logic. People who really have no business. Celia can do what she likes. She can kiss her dog as much as she wants. It's her life. Eric.
I was going to say that, again, like with the malcontent, which we did last week, which is on our YouTube, I think, I hope. You got to plug the things. Is kind of this huge discussion about like perfume and fashion and like everything that makes like a gentleman sort of gentlemanly and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Marston seems to be really interested in clothes. We didn't talk about it when we did malcontent but there were references to clothing all through that. About people being unbraced, which means that they're kind of all frumpy and their doublet hose are not properly tied together, so their shirt is popping. Anyway, yeah. So Marston seems to be really interested in clothing.
I'm just wondering if that's an aspect of their audience at this particular playhouse, is that it's a more fashionable crowd, and that actually that this is a description as much of the people who are out there as in the play. So there might be that level going on. Rachael, and then we will move on unless there's other thoughts. Yes.
No, this is just a question because of that clothing. I'm assuming her ex-husband was really well dressed. Why do they go on about his being well dressed so much? I mean, you just said it's about the audience, but in terms of just in the play for itself, and that Jacomo is not well dressed, I'm assuming that he's not. Maybe he's not as that physically attractive. Is that supposed to be something like on his? As a judgment on his character? Is her like ex-husband just fashionable or better looking, or is Jacomo just not well dressed or not good looking or something?
Lynn.
I have a conjectural interpretation of what's going on there. Yes, he's Albano was well dressed, but in a kind of more understated, modest way, wearing black. So he was richly dressed, but he wasn't a popinjay, and you kind of maybe Laverdure is a bit of a fop. That's kind of my guess of what's going on there, is that Albano had good taste. Yeah,
you get a sort of sense of Laverdure as being sort of new money and perhaps a bit brash. Or similar. So it might be something like that. We will, however, gather more data on that by going into Act 2. The music fades away and someone knocks. Laverdure distraws the curtains, sitting on his bed, appareling himself. His trunk of apparel standing by him.
Oh, Bidet! Lucky!
Enter Bidet with water and a towel.
Signor.
See who knocks. Look, you boy. Peruse their habits. Return perfect notice. La.
And exit Bidet and returns presently.
Quadratus.
Quadratus, mon Dieu, ma vie. I lay not at my lodging tonight. I'll not see him now. My soul, in his old Perpetuana suit. I'm not within.
He is fair, gallant, rich, neat as a bridegroom, fresh as a new minted sixpence. With him Lampatho, Doria, Simplicius, Faber.
And in good clothes?
Accoutred worthier presents.
So, my gold-wrought waistcoat and nightcap. Open my trunk. Lay my richest suit on the top. My velvet slippers, cloth of gold ganaches. Where are my cloth of silver hose? Lay them.
At pawn, sir.
No, sir, I do not bid you lay them at pawn, sir.
No, sir, you need not, for they are there already.
Mon Dieu, garçon. Set my richest gloves, garters, hats, just in the way of their eyes. So let them in. Observe me with all duteous respect. Let them in.
And enter Quadratus, Lampatho, Doria, and Simplicius, Faber.
Phoebus, Phoebe, sun, moon, and 7 stars, make thee the dilling of my fortune, my sweet Laverdure, my rich French blood. Ha, ye dear rogue, hast any pudding tobacco?
Good morrow, signor.
Monsieur Laverdure, do you see that gentleman? He goes but in a black satin, as you see, but by Helicon, he hath a cloth of tissue wit. He breaks a jest. I'll rail against the court till the gallants. Oh God, he is very nectar. If you but sip of his love, you were immortal. I must needs make you known to him. I'll induce your love with dear regard. Signor Lampatho, here is a French gentleman. Monsieur Laverdure, a traveller, a beloved of heaven, courts your acquaintance.
Sir, I protest. I not only take distant notice of your dear rarities of exterior presence, but I protest, I am most vehemently enamored and very passionately dote on your inward adornments and liabilities of spirit. I protest I shall be proud to do you most obsequious vassalage.
Is not this rare now? Now, by Gorgon's head, I gape and am struck stiff in wonderment at sight of these strange beasts. Yon chamlet youth, Simplicius Faber, that hermaphrodite, party Papale, that bastard mongrel soul, is naught but admiration and applause of yon Lampatho Doria, a fusty cast, devote to mouldy customs of hoary eld. Doth he but speak, O tones of heaven itself? Doth he once write, O Jesu admirable? Cries out Simplicius. Then Lampatho spits and says, Faith, 'tis good. But oh, to mark yon thing, sweat to unite acquaintant to his friend, labour his praises and endear his worth, with titles all as formerly tricked forth as the cap of a dedicatory epistle. Then, sir, to view Lampatho, he protests and vows such sudden heat of love, that, oh, 'twere warmth enough of mirth to dry the stintless tears of old Heraclitus, make Niobe to laugh.
I protest. I shall be proud to give you proof I hold a most religious affiance with your love.
Nay, gentle signor.
Let me not live else. I protest. I will strain my utmost sinews in strengthening your precious estimate. I protest. I will do all rights in all good offices that friendship can touch, or amplest virtue deserve.
I protest, believe him not. I'll beg thee, Laverdure, for a concealed idiot, if thou credit him. He's a hyena, and with civet scent of perfumed words draws to make a prey for laughter of thy credit. Oh, this hot, crackling love that blazeth on an instant, flames me out on the least puff of kindness with protest. Catso, I dread these hot protests. That press, come on so fast. No, away. You are a common friend, or will betray. Let me clip amity that's got with suit. I hate this whorish love that's prostitute.
Horn on my tailor. Could he not bring home my satin taffeta or tissue suit? But I must needs be clothed in woolen thus. Bidet, what says he for my silver hose and primrose satin doublet? God's my life! Gives he no more observance to my body?
Oh, in that last suit, gentle Laverdure, visit my lodging. By Apollo's front, do but inquire my name. Oh, straight they'll say, Lampatho suits himself in such a hose.
Mark that, Quadratus.
Consorts himself with such a doublet.
Good. Oh, geez, so admirable.
La, Rosa.
Oh, Pallas, Quadratus, hark, a most complete phantasma, a most ridiculous humour. Prithee, shoot him through and through with a jest. Make him lie by the lee, thou basilico of wit.
Oh, Jesus, admirably well-spoken, angelical tongue.
Nathanical coxcomb.
Nay, prithee, foot fear not. He's no edged tool. You may jest with him.
no edge tool.
Tones of heaven itself.
Tones of heaven itself.
By blessedness, I thought so.
Nay, when? When?
Why, thou polehead, thou Janus, thou poltroon, thou protest, thou earwig that wrigglest into men's brains, thou dirty cur that bemirest with thy fawning, thou...
Obscure me, oh.
Signor Laverdure, by the heart of an honest man, this Jebusite, this confusion to him, this worse than I dare to name, abuseth thee most incomprehensibly. Is this your protest of most obsequious vassalage? Protest to strain your utmost sum, your most...
So, Phoebus, warm my brain, I'll rhyme thee dead. Look for the satire, if all the sour juice of a tart brain can souse thy estimate, I'll pickle thee.
Ha! He mounts Cairo on the wings of fame. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. Look thee, I speak plague scraps. Bidet, I'll down. Sing or stay, will quaff or anything. Rivo, St. Mark, let's talk as loose as air. Unwind youth's colours, display ourselves, so that yon envy-starved cur may yelp, and spend his chaps at our fantasticness.
Oh, Lord, Quadratus!
Away, idolater! Why, you Don Kind-Snader, thou canker-eaten rusty cur, thou snaffle to free spirits? Thinkest thou, a libertine, an ungyved breast, scorns not the shackles of thy envious clogs? You will traduce us unto public scorn?
By this hand I will.
A fruitra for thy hand, thy heart, thy brain, thy hate, thy malice, envy grinning spite. Shall a freeborn that holds antipathy?
Antipathy?
Aye, antipathy, a native hate unto the curse of man, bare-pated servitude, quake at the frowns of a ragged satirist, a scrubbing railer, whose coarse, hardened fortune, grating his hide, galling his starved ribs, sits howling at desert's more battle fate, who out of dungeon of his black despairs scowls at the fortune of the fairer merit.
Rear! Let all run glib and square.
Uds, foot! He cogs and cheats your simpler thoughts. My spleen's afire in the heat of hate. I bear these gnats that hum about our ears, and blister our credits in obscured shades.
You bogra! La la, sure! Shall I forbear to caper, sing, or vault? To wear fresh clothes or wear perfumed sweets? To trick my face or glory in my fate? To abandon natural propensities? My fancy's humour, for a stiff-jointed, tattered, nasty, tabor-faced, row.
Now, by thy lady's cheek I honour thee, my rich free blood. O my dear libertine, I could suck the juice, the syrup of thy lip, for thy most generous thought, my Elysium.
Oh, sir, you are so square, you scorn reproof.
No, sir, should discreet Mastigophorus, or the dear spirit acute Canadus, that Aretine, that most of me beloved, who in the rich esteem I prize his soul, I term myself, should these once menace me, or curb my humours with well-governed check, I should with most industrious regard observe, abstain, and curb my skipping lightness. But when an arrogant, odd, impudent, a blushless forehead, only out of sense of his own wants, balls in malignant questing at others' means of waving gallantry, pite futra.
I rail at none, you well-squared signor.
I cannot tell. 'Tis now grown fashion. What's out of railings out of fashion? A man can scarce put on a tucked up cap, a buttoned frizzado suit, scarce eat good meat, anchovies, caviar, but he's satired and turned fantastical by the muddy spawn of slimy newts, when troth, fantasticness, that which the natural sophisters term fantasia incomplexa, is a function even of the bright immortal part of man. It is the common path, the sacred door, unto the privy chamber of the soul. That barred naught passeth past the baser court of outward sense. By it the enamorate most lively thinks he sees the absent beauties of his loved mistress. By it we shape a new creation of things as yet unborn. By it we feed our ravenous memory, our intention feast. Slid he that's not fantastical's a beast.
Most fantastical protection of fantasticness.
Faith, 'tis good.
So it be fantastical, 'tis wit's life blood.
Oh, come, signor, my legs are girt.
Fantastically.
After a special humour, a new cut.
Why then, 'tis rare, 'tis excellent. Uds fut. And I were to be hanged, I would be choked fantastically. He can scarce be saved. That's not fantastical. I'll stand firm to it.
Nay then, sweet sir, give a reason. Come on, when?
'Tis hell to run in common base of men.
Hast not run thyself out of breath, bully?
And I have not jaded thy ears more than I have tired my tongue. I could run discourse, put him out of his full pace. I could pour speech till thou criest ho. But troth, I dread a glut, and I confess much love to freer gentry, whose pert agile spirits is too much frostbit, numbed with ill-strained snibs, hath tenter reached my speech. By Brutus' blood, he is a turf that will be slave to man, but he's a beast that dreads his mistress fan.
Come, all mirth and solace, capers, healths and whiffs. Tomorrow my nuptials celebrate. All friends, all friends.
I protest.
Nay, leave protest. Pluck out your snarling fangs. When thou hast means, be fantastical and sociable. Go to. Here's my hand, and you want 40 shillings. I am your Maecenas, though not atavis edite regibus.
Why, content, and I protest.
I'll no protest.
Well, and I do not leave these fopperies. Do not lend me 40 shillings, and there's my hand. I embrace you, love you, nay, adore thee. For by the juice of wormwood, thou hast a bitter brain.
You, Simplicius, wilt leave that staring fellow, admiration and adoration of thy acquaintance, wilt? A scorn, out, 'tis odious. Too eager a defence argues a strong opposition, and too vehement a praise draws a suspicion of others' worthy disparagement. Set tapers to bright day, it ill befits. Good wines can vent themselves, and not good wits.
Good truth, I love you, and with the grace of heaven I'll be very civil and...
Fantastical.
I'll be something. I have a concealed humour in me, and 'twere broached to spurt I faith.
Come then, St. Mark, let's be as light as air, as fresh and jocund as the breast of May. I prithee, good French knight, good plump-cheeked chub, run some French passage. Come, let's see thy vein. Dances, scenes, and songs royal entertain.
Page, Bidet, sing. Give it the French jerk. Quick, smart, lightly, ha! Here's a turn unto my Celia.
Stand stiff. Ho, stand. Take footing firm. Stand sure. For if thou fall before thy mistress, thy manhood's damned. Stand firm. Ho, good. So.
And there's a song and dance number.
Come now. Via, Alone, to Celia.
Stay, take an old rhyme first, though dry and lean. 'Twill serve to close the stomach of the scene.
This is thy humour to be rhymer still, never so slightly pleased, but out they fly.
They are mine own, no gleaned poetry, my fashion's known. Out, rhyme, take it as you list, a FICO for the sour-browed solist. Music, tobacco, sack and sleep, the tide of sorrow backward keep. If thou art sad at others' fate, Rivo, drink deep, give care the mate. On us the end of time is come, fond fear of that we cannot shun. Whilst quickest sense doth freshly last, clip time about, hug pleasure fast. The sisters ravel out our twine, he that knows little's most divine. Error deludes, who'll beat this hence, naught's known but by exterior sense. Let glory blazon others' deeds, my blood than breath craves better mead. Let twattling fame cheat others' rest, I am no dish for rumour's feast. Let honour others' hope abuse, I'll nothing have, so naught will lose. I'll strive to be nor great nor small, to live nor die, fate helmeth all. When I can breathe no longer then, heaven take all, there put amen. How is it? How is it?
Faith so, tell 'em all, as 'twould please opinion to current it.
Why then, via, let's walk.
Must give notice to an odd pedant as we pass of my nuptials. I use him, for he is obscure, and shall marry us in private. I have many enemies, but secrecy is the best evasion from envy.
Holds it tomorrow?
Aye, firm, absolute.
I'll say amen, if the priest be mute.
Epithalamiums, will I sing, my chuck. Go on, spend freely, out on dross, 'tis muck.
And they exit, and yes, dare to be different, be fantastical, be something. Bidet, give it the French jerk. It is full of good lines. Most fantastical protection of fantasticness is put forward. I'm not 100% certain what is going on here. Apart from that, it feels like there is some sort of potential setup or gulling going on somewhere amongst some of these figures. But I'm not quite sure. I love the way Laverdure at the beginning is sort of going, and the good clothes, well, we've pawned those. Put the best on show and make it look as good as before the people come into the room. Yeah, there's a really fascinating portrait of a certain area of society, of which there are lots of parallels, and I'm finding that fascinating. I'm not sure how it's intersecting with plot yet, but I don't kind of care at the moment. I'm cool with that. Lynn?
Yeah, Laverdure is definitely a fop. You know, the some of the clothing items he talks about, like cloth with silver stockings. I've never heard of such a thing. I mean, so he's really into overdressing. But other than that first little exchange between him and his page, he doesn't have a lot to do in this scene. It seems to be this sort of match between Lampatho and Quadratus. That seems to be the point, and I'm not really sure what's going on there. But there's something very locker roomy about this. You know, foutre is the French cognate for our F word. So, you know, it's profane. There's this sort of sparring between Quadratus and Lampatho, competing for Laverdure's attention or something. I really would love to explore this scene more at some other time, because, yeah, the sort of homosocial dynamic here is really interesting.
Quadratus does really want to be, in defense of epicurism, isn't it? It really is, and it's very flamboyant. And yeah, but you're right. I'm still not quite getting a complete grip on everything. Alan?
I'm getting a sort of restoration comedy vibe from this. I may be wrong. That you've got the three, Quadratus, Lampatho, and t'other one, who seem to be an established comedy routine. I almost got the feeling that Laverdure is there thinking, why the hell am I being ignored? Why can't I get a word in edgeways? Why are people nicking my lines? It just seems that he's almost there just as an audience for them.
It feels like they're the social circle that may be sponging off him, not necessarily knowing that he isn't actually necessarily of the best means in the universe. I'm just wondering if that's what's going on there, that these are parasite figures hanging around him. And it's interesting about the stealing of lines. There's these people who are collecting lines of popular culture and quoting. This scene is full of quotes, some more wholesome than others. And so there's almost a game perhaps going on for the original audience of going, I recognise that line. Yeah, that line's from that. And there might be more of that kind of play going on there. Helen?
Yeah, the character I was reading, Lampatho, I sort of did a generic comic foreigner voice because I couldn't quite work out what I was supposed to be doing. And anyway, I'm not very good at being specific about it, but I think he ought to be an Italian. Is that right? He ought to be a comic Italian. And once again, he is in opposition to Quadratus, who is... I'm still on Team Quadratus. If we're arguing, but I mean he is a foolish foreigner, but quite a well written foolish foreigner.
Valentina.
Yeah, Lampatho. I mean, according to the script, surname is Doria, which is it used to be a very strong family from where I'm from, Genova and Tuscany. They had control over a lot of that, but it almost feels like, I think most of them are supposed to be Italian, so I think Laverdure is actually the foreigner, the French.
Yeah, you've got three comic Italians and a comedy Frenchman.
Yeah,
which is going to please the groundlings in the English theatre. Daily Mail before the event.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think that some of these foreigners, because they're at home, are being played as if they're speaking English as if it was their native language. Whereas there are others who are bizarrely seem to be foreigners at home.
I mean, apart from Laverdure, I wasn't detecting that from the others. I think it was just more affectation. Even though, because the satire is ultimately going to be about the English social scene surrounding the playhouse, or presumably that's what Marston is playing at. It's just by distancing it, he's getting some distance at it, as it were. Rachael, then we will move on. We've got one more scene to do.
We were talking in the chat about like the pudding tobacco, the dessert tobacco that Laverdure has, and also like what do you call it? How Marston uses not just the clothes but other objects like these tobacco to give a description of the character. Like the Venice Duke just burns a document with his, and I don't know, his Laverdure's tobacco reminds me of like, that stereotype of ballerinas smoke to curb their appetite, that he's pawning his clothes, he might not have money to purchase food, so instead he buys cheap tobacco to keep the hunger at bay.
Though if they're all following Epicurean delights, they're not worried about hunger. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them had a very healthy appetite on that sense. Anyway, we will gather more data as we dive into Act 2, Scene 2. Enter a schoolmaster, Pedant, who draws the curtains behind with Battus, Nous, Slip, Nathaniel, and Holofernes Pippo. Schoolboys. Boys' Company probably has quite a few of those on hand. Sitting with books in their hands. Hands up, everybody. All.
Salve, master.
Salve, Majesty.
Master.
Salvete pueris tote salvi vos salvere exopto vopis salutem. Bate mi fili mi bate.
Quid vis?
Stand forth, repeat your lesson without book.
A noun is the name of a thing that may be seen, felt, heard, or understood.
Good boy. On.
Of nouns, some be substantives and some be substantives.
Adjectives.
Adjectives. Noun, substantive, either is proper to the thing that it betokeneth.
Well, to numbers.
In nouns be two numbers, the singular and the plural. The singular number speaketh of one as lapis, a stone. The plural speaketh of more than one as lapides, stones.
Good child. Now thou art past lapidus stones. Proceed to the cases. Nous, say you next. Where's your lesson, Nous?
I am in a verb, forsooth.
Say on, forsooth. Say.
A verb is a part of speech declined with mood and tense, and betokeneth doing, as a mo I love.
And how many kinds of verbs are there?
2. Personal and impersonal.
Of verbs, personals, how many kinds?
5. Active, passive, neuter, deponent, and common. A verb active endeth in o and betokeneth to do as a mo, I love. And by putting to r, it may be a passive as amor, I am loved.
Very good, child. Now learn to know the deponent and common. Say you, Slip.
Pedant armor toge concedat lorea linguae.
What part of speech is lingua? Inflecte.
Singularitur nominativo hec lingua.
Why is lingua the feminine gender?
Forsooth, because it is the feminine gender.
Ha, thou ass, thou dolt. Idem per idem market. Lingua is declined with haec, the feminine, because it is a household stuff, particularly belonging and most commonly resident under the roof of women's mouths. Come on, you Nathaniel. Say you next. Not too fast. Say treadably, I say.
Mascula decuntur monosyllaba nomina quodem.
Faster.
Ut sal sol ren et splen car servi vas vadis asmas bes cres pres et pes glis glirens habens genitivo mos flos ros et tros muns dens mons pons.
Rub, tub, snub, slub, bore, whore, core, more. Holla. You, Holofernes, people, put him down. Wipe your nose fine. On your sleeve? Where's your muckender your grandmother gave you? Well, say on.
Pray, master, what word's this?
Ass.
As in presenti perfectum format in
what, sir?
Perfectum format. In what, sir?
In what, sir? In avi.
In what, sir? In avi? Ut no nas, navi, vocito, vocitas, voci.
What's next?
Voci, what's next?
Why, thou ungracious child, thou simple animal, thou barnacle. Snare him, take him up, and you were my father, you should up.
Indeed, I am not your father. Oh, Lord, now for God's sake, let me go out. My mother told a thing, I shall bewray all else. Hark you, master, my grandmother entreats you to come to dinner tomorrow morning.
I say untrust. Take him up. Nous dispatch. What? Not perfect as in presenti?
In truth, I'll be as perfect as in presenti as any of this company, with the grace of God, law. This once, and I'll do so any more.
I say hold him up.
Ha, let me say my prayers first. You know not what you've done now. All the syrup of my brain is run into my buttocks, and you spilled the juice of my wit well. Ha, sweet, honey, Barbary, sugar, sweet master.
Sans tricks, trifles, delays, demurs, procrastinations, or retardations, mount him.
Enter Quadratus, Lampatho, Laverdure, and Simplicius.
Be merciful, my gentle signor.
We'll sue his pardon out.
He is reproved. And now, Apollo, bless your brains, Facundius, and elaborate elegance make your presence gracious in the eyes of your mistress.
You must along with us. Lend private ear.
What is your name?
Holofernes Pippo.
Who gave you that name? Nay, let me alone for supposing of a scholar.
My godfathers and my grandmothers in my baptism.
Truly gallant, I am enamored on thee, boy. Wilt thou serve me?
Oh, yes, and please my grandmother, when I come of 2 years of discretion.
And you have a propensity to him, he shall be for you. I was solicited to grant him leave to play the lady in comedies presented by children, but I knew his voice was too small and his stature too low. Sing a treble. Holofernes, sing.
And there's a song.
La la la.
A very small, sweet voice, I'll assure you.
'Tis smally sweet indeed.
A very pretty child. Hold up thy head. There, buy thee some plums.
Nay, they must play. You go along with us.
Ludendi venia est petita et concessa.
Gratia.
Gratias.
Pippo's my page. How like you him? Ah, he has not a good face, huh?
Exceedingly amiable. Come away. I long to see my love, my Celia.
Carry my rapier. Hold up so, good child. Stay gallant. Ah, a sweet face.
I relish not the...
Yes, there is a brace of exits apart from Lampatho and Quadratus.
I relish not this mirth. My spirit is untwist. My heart is ravelled out in discontents. I am deep thoughtful, and I shoot my soul through all creation of omnipotence.
What? Art melancholy, lamp? I'll feed thy humour. I'll give thee reason straight to hang thyself. Mark it, mark it. In heaven's handiwork there's naught. Believe it.
In heaven's handiwork there's naught. None more vile, accursed, reprobate to bliss than man, and 'mongst men a scholar most, things only fleshly sensitive, an ox or horse. They live and eat and sleep and drink and die, and are not touched with recollections of things o'erpast, or staggered infant doubts of things succeeding, but leave the manly beasts and give but pence apiece to have a sight of beastly man now.
Well, sir, Lampatho, good truth, I will not pay your ordinary if you come not.
Dost thou hear that voice? I'll make a parrot now, as good a man as he in 40 nights. I never heard invent a syllable of his own creating since I knew the use of eyes and ears. Well, he's perfect blessed, because a perfect beast. I'll gauge my heart, he knows no difference essential twixt my dog and him. The horse and sot is blessed, is rich in ignorance, makes fair usance on it, and every day augments his barbarism. So love me calmness, I do envy him for it. I was a scholar. 7 useful springs did I deflower in quotations of crossed opinions about the soul of man. The more I learnt to doubt. Knowledge and wit, faith's foes turn faith about.
Nay, come, good signor. I stay all the gentlemen here. I would fain give my pretty page a pudding pie.
Honest epicure, nay, mark, list, delight. Delight my spaniel slept, while I bore's leaves, tossed o'er the dunces, pored on the old print of titled words, and still my spaniel slept. Whilst I wasted lamp oil, baited my flesh, shrunk up my veins, and still my spaniel slept. And I held converse with Zabarel, Aquinas, Scotus, and the musty saw of antic Donate, and still my spaniel slept. Still went I, first ansit anima, and then it were mortal. Oh, hold, at that, thereat brain buffets, fell by the ears amain, pell-mell together, as still my spaniel slept. Then, whether to a corporeal, local, fixed, extraduce, but whether 't had free will or no, oh, philosophers stood banding factions, all so strongly propped, I staggered, knew not which was the firmer part, but thought, quoted, read, observed, and pried, stuffed noting books, and still my spaniel slept. At length he waked, yawned, and by yon sky, for aught I knew, he knew as much as I.
Delicate good Lampatho, come away. I assure you I'll give you but 2 pence more.
How 'twas created, how the soul exists. One talks of motes, the soul was made of motes. The other fire, t'other light, a third a spark of star-like nature. Hippo water, Anaximenes air, Aristonexus music, Critias I know not what. A company of odd frenetici did eat my youth. And when I crept abroad, finding my numbness in this nimble age, I fell a-railing. But now, soft and slow, I know naught. But I naught do know. What shall I do? What plot? What course pursue?
Why, turn a temperist, row with the tide, row with the tide, pursue the cut, the fashion of the age. Well, here's my scholar's course. First get a school, and then the £10 cure, keep both, then buy, stay, marry, marry, then a farm or so, serve God and mammon, to the devil go, affect some sect, 'tis the sect is it, so thou canst seem, 'tis held the precious wit. And oh, if thou canst get some higher seat, where thou mayest sell your holy portion, which charitable providence ordained in sacred bounty for a blessed use, alien the glebe, entail it to thy loins, entome it in thy grave, past resurrection to his native use. Now, if there be a hell and such swine saved, heaven take all, that's all my hopes have craved.
Enter Holofernes' Pippo.
My Simplicius master
Your master Simplicius
has come to you to send.
Has come sent to me to come.
He hath bought me a fine dagger and a hat and a feather. I can say ass in presenti now.
And all the boys within say,
Quadratus.
Quadratus.
Away, away.
Way.
We come, sweet gallants, and grumbling hate lie still, and turn fantastic. He that climbs a hill must wheel about. The ladder to account is sly dissemblance. He that means to mount must lie all level in the perspective of eager-sighted greatness. Thou wouldst strive. The Venice state is young, loose, and unknit, can relish naught but luscious vanities. Go, fit his tooth, O glavering flattery, how potent are thou! Front, look, brisk and sleek, that such base dirt as you should dare to reap in princes' nostrils. Well, my scene is long.
Quadratus.
Quadratus.
I come, hot bloods. Those that their state would swell must bear a counterfeit. The devil and hell confound them all. That's all my praise exact. So ends our chat. A sound music for the act.
That's the way to end any act. Just going, yeah, so ends our chat. Music. Lovely. Next scene. This has got so much. I mean, I have to say, some of the jokes are just so nicely set up and built. And for a scene that's, you know, about various lessons, a lot of which is Latin and could go completely over one's head, it does feel like the Marston is going, no, okay, people need to understand the gags regardless of whether you know the Latin. I mean, the gag at the end there, I can say ass in presenti now. It's so clearly very happy about that, and it's lovely. And then there's just the gag about just turning to the boy singer and say, buy thee some plums. I mean, if it's a boy soprano, then that gag is just beautifully judged, but also just straightforward teaching stuff of just wipe your nose. Where's your hanky? No, not on your sleeve. You know, there's some really good stuff in there, but again, there's that nagging suspicion of at some point the play might happen again. I mean, in the first scene there was plot, and now we've just got people just sort of turning up and stuff happening, and it's really good stuff. And Lampatho does this wonderful speech about the nature of existence, and I looked down at my dog, and the dog sort of got up and yawned, and for all I know, it knows more about the universe than I do. It's a lovely little, but it's weirdly pointless. I'm fascinated by this. This is it's very entertaining. But it's not that interested in plot. Lynn.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you mentioned it, that little speech that Lampatho has about, I did this, I did that, my spaniel was sleeping, I did this, I did that, my spaniel was sleeping. And in the end, and when he woke up, for all I know, he's as smart as I am. I have no idea what that passage is doing there, but it's just genius. And the other thing I was going to say is, I don't think I'm catching nearly all of it, but I think this whole section, particularly the Latin lesson, is just dense with dirty jokes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's all dirty jokes. It's all, because, you know, like lapis, lapides, stones is the usual early modern slang for testicles. So that's got to be what's going on there. Maybe I just say it because I've got a really dirty mind. But I think it's just dirty joke after dirty joke after dirty joke the whole way through.
Yeah, and it feels like it's jokes the children are trying to get past. They're trying to be as rude as possible, and the pedant is not noticing that they're just constantly throwing filth at him all the way through. I mean, Pippo, I'm coming to love. I just all the syrup of my brain is run into my buttocks. Just. It's just what a way to put it. I mean, we've had things like, your arse makes buttons now and things like that, but it's the fact it's connected to learning. It's brain juice, syrup of my brain, spill the juice of my wit well. Yeah. Other thoughts, Eric?
I do enjoy the whole, like, thou simple animal, thou barnacle, just like as an insult. It's just like, what? That doesn't. Yeah, anyway. And just like I did like the moment where, like, you know, supposedly the adults come in, and you get this moment, what's your name? And sort of like just it's very sort of human and, like, I don't know, very childlike, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going on my list of schoolroom scenes to be put together with various other ones we've got. Yeah, it's just very light. And, you know, and we're talking about rude jokes and things. You know, we've got people whose names are, you know, borderline toilet humour all the way through. So, you know, we've got a lot of. I'm finding it very difficult to say Bidet without sniggering every time. So yeah, Helen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing it's solved. If you remember Julian, it was a question of the exact meaning of "take him up," as referring to a schoolboy, and I said I had a feeling they were going to thrash him, and we've got it here. So we now go back and add a footnote.
Yeah.
If we
Sarah.
did footnotes, which we don't.
No. Well, we may start to. They might grow on us, you know, like a infection. Sarah.
Yeah, the thing I really love about this school scene as well is that, I mean, I'm trying to. I know we've done other school scenes. I can't remember which plays they were, but the pedant, was that Julie and was that one? I can't remember. Anyway, but like the pedants are usually quite fierce and scary, and what I love about this is just a really well observed picture of one of those teachers who just is not in charge of their class. So, you know, and is just trying their best to sort of scrabble on and teach, but really, you know, should not be a teacher and cannot control a class. And it's like that just goes on through the centuries, you know, like school kids running rings around their teachers and pretending that they're being attentive and paying attention when they're not. They're just basically winding up the teacher and trying to get one over on him. And it's like that has not changed, and it's such a really hilarious, you know, Tudor example of it. You know, it's going on now. It was going on then. It was ever thus.
Helen.
Yes, there's a little dialogue between Simplicius and Holofernes, which is straight out of the Catechism. What is your name? Who gave you that name? My godfathers and godmothers at my baptism. And they go into, this isn't Latin, this isn't normal speech. This is direct quotation from the Catechism.
And then immediately the pedant sort of points out, well, I was hoping to farm the boy off to act in some plays, to play women's roles, but he turned out to be too small, too short to play those roles. So he's still a young singer treble. That's what Holofernes Pippo is for. And that's maybe a comment about adult acting companies as well, if we assume that this is very much a boys' company play.
But his voice isn't. It isn't that his voice isn't. His voice isn't. He hasn't got enough voice yet.
Yes.
That's his problem.
But his stature's too low as well. Yeah. Too small a boy.
He's got to do some growing.
Yeah. Eric.
I did like the sort of line, I am in a verb forsooth, like sort of, what the, okay, this is not the way you speak, but just sort of so much about this scene is good, but also like wrong.
Yeah, but it's wrong in the logic of someone reading, going, I'm on a different thing. So I haven't got that far. Yeah, it's yeah, this is one to unpack further and see how many jokes we can squeeze out of this situation. Rachael.
No, it was about what Sarah was saying with these unruly schoolboys. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like they know any of their verb forms or like their nouns like in Latin, but they know how to say like the curse words, which is such a thing like when you're learning foreign language in school, where that seems to be the thing that students engage with most. And still, after all these years, I think the most of German I remember is the curse words.
Yeah, not one of them seems to know how to get to the campsite, which is, I think, all I can remember in any other language. Eric.
I was just wondering about that whole thing. You know, you've got like Nathaniel sort of going faster and faster, and then Pedant goes rub, tup, snup, slup, bore, whore, core, more, and I'm like, what on earth is that all about? But I don't know yet. Are those verbs? Or are those something else? Are those
I think it may have starts off that, and then I think it just turns into sounds. I think that's what he picks him up on afterwards. It's just like, say it faster. And it just sort of devolves in that way, because it's like he being really slow and then super fast. Lynn.
Yeah, and then in that passage, I'm trying to find it, but I don't know that that's a good use of my time. So the student starts out saying things that sound kind of Latinate Romance language, but then the all those up, those are more like Germanic Old Englishy sounding words. So like it changes from a sort of a Romance feel to an Englishy or an Old Englishy Germanic feel. I don't know if that's even deliberate, but that's how it seemed to me.
And of course, Pedant is being distracted at that moment, and then he turns around and goes, "Put him down." It's just so deep, and you get him because Eric was doing it. I don't know if it's textual or just how it's how you spun it, but it just feels like Pedant is that person who the only weapon he's got is sarcasm. Just that wasn't very good, was it? Boy,
Yeah,
he's just such a bad teacher on so many levels.
I was trying to channel a really, substitute teacher with a migraine, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you do that at home? Anyway, Helen.
Yes, I think though that the pupils what they've been set to do is to learn the rules of grammar by heart. And they are actually coming out with stuff. It's just that when he goes off the book and says, why is lingua the feminine gender? And Slip says, because it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, to be honest, it's a good answer. It's a better answer than the pedant gives.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's basically it. Gender in language is largely arbitrary. Sometimes it tracks with natural gender, but famously in German, a word for young woman is neuter, and the word for potato is feminine. Like what? So it is because it is, not because it's something to do with domesticity and the women's realm is that. No, that's horseshit.
Don't tell Pedant that. He's the teacher. Don't answer back, because teacher will come for you. Alan.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, as has been pointed out, the hazards of rote learning, which I'm sure all of us suffered from at some point along the way. But overall, and going back to Eric's one, the fact that the pedant is using sarcasm as a weapon, well, it makes a change from the usual pedant that we get, whose first impulse is to reach for the cane or the birch.
Oh, I'm sure he does as well. I mean, it's just especially when there's I'm sure he's got that. He's clearly just not very good. Just all this wonderful food that's going on elsewhere and stuff. And why are the kids calling for Quadratus? Is Quadratus just really popular?
I'm not sure that these boys may not be the boy actors that are playing the other adult parts.
That's possible.
When it says that the boys call, because it doesn't make sense for the boys to be calling.
Unless he's just, everyone thinks he's cool. because of his intemperate opinions. No, I think you're probably right. That's a really good point.
Was it not that Quadratus was being called to dinner?
Yes, by the boys who were acting as his friends.
Yes.
But also he kind of went, yeah, shouldn't they, we have to talk, so, just let them go play.
Yeah, but
So
aren't they
obviously
on
that would be a
stage?
really good reason for him to be popular.
Yeah, but his friends are on stage, aren't they? Oh no, Laverdure has exited.
Yeah.
But he's the only one who's exited because he's with Lampatho and he's
No, Simplicius has gone in.
Yeah. Yeah, Simplicius is speaking from within. Laverdure has disappeared off scene. And Quadratus was being called to dinner. So
it just seems like that's too few for it to be an all command, if that makes sense. Because it's only literally one or two people maximum.
Yeah, I think it's all off stage shouting Quadratus.
Sarah.
I mean, Simplicius has been calling to him for some time, and he's been ignoring them. So is there something in there about, like, I mean, it's kind of inferred heavily, but like maybe the boys are calling him because it's like no one can have their dinner till he comes. So, they're calling him, like Simplicius has said, oh, you can't have your dinner till he comes, till Quadratus comes. And so they're all like, Quadratus, get here, we're hungry. Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Lampatho is correcting the boy in terms of the structure of his sentences. It's just going, he seems to be a better teacher than the pedant was. I'm afraid we don't have time for final thoughts. So if you have a final thought you desperately want to throw in, if you haven't spoken very much, now is the moment because we only have a minute or so left. Sarah.
Yes, I have a final thought. You and Rachael both mentioned in the chat at different times Instagram. And it just, I really want to do this play on Instagram. But like I was talking last week about doing the malcontent on Zoom. It's a great Zoom play. This would lend itself so perfectly to Instagram with, that earlier scene with Laverdure and all his sycophants. That he's got no money, but he's got the buzz, or he's got the style, or whatever, or he's got the fashion, and they're all kind of hanging out and hanging round him. And then that wonderful speech of Lampatho about the spaniel reminded me so much of those like exercise, like yoga videos you get where, there's the yoga guru doing the lesson on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and then their pug dog is like, asleep in the background all the way through it. You could totally do that as a series of Insta video clips or still pictures where the dog is just continuing to sleep in the background all the way through. I just think it lends itself really well. You could just do the whole thing as a series of people on Insta following each other. I have no clue what's going on in the plot, but that also lends itself really well to Instagram because it doesn't appear to be much of a plot so far.
Well, we had a plot. Plot was established in the first scene, and then
but it's kind of
people connected with that plot have just done some other stuff. We've only had one scene of plot, and it's I'm assuming, looking ahead to Act 3, we're going to dive back into the plot again. Yeah. But yeah, it seems to be just an excuse for some stuff to happen, which is cool. I have to say, I was looking at Lampatho going, oh, that would actually make a lovely ASMR video, actually. It'd be very restful with the dog. Perhaps just, the sound of its breathing to go with it. A very dog-orientated play so far. Everyone's has a good... And the dog's called Delight, remember. Named the dog Delight. Eric, and then Alan.
Yeah, just very quickly, I was going to mention that it's a bit meta as well, because Quadratus keeps going, yes, my scene is long. We're like, yes, we have to, talk about this scene because it doesn't rhyme yet. You have to, be snappy or whatever. And then, like, sound music for the act. Or, yeah, he kind of steps outside of the play as well.
Alan.
Feels to me very much like a sketch show with just enough plot to try and give it some sort of raison d'etre to make it hold together. and I almost wonder whether some of it is scenes lifted from elsewhere.
At the moment, it feels of a unified whole. But you're right. I mean, it's the kind of thing where people will leave the play and be in the car going, "Oh God, that bit with the boys, I've really enjoyed that. What about the plot? Don't care about the plot. The bit with the boys was great." And or similar. Actually, it's the bit where the primary thing isn't the thrust of the plot, or is it? Next time, more plot will occur. There'll be more of the plot. Yes, but sadly we have run out of time unless anyone is desperate to add anything in as these final moments. Otherwise, we will have to close the session and move on. So all that remains is thank all these wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Thou earwig that wrigglest into men's brains.